Alright, so we're continuing to talk about our transformations here, and how we're going to do that, we're going to move on to what we call rotations. So we've discussed translations, we've discussed reflections, and we've also talked about motion rules and how those help us define what's going to happen in each of our transformations. So we're going to break this down into three short little videos here. First one we're going to talk about is a 90-degree rotation. So if you notice, I have my yellow point here, this is the point being rotated, and then I have my rotation point right here. This is the point that everything is going to rotate around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a 90-degree rotation right here. We can see it rotated 90 degrees, and now I have my new coordinates. Now this is all about finding a motion rule. So I want to see, well, what happened from the first one to the second one? Well, I started at 6, 3, and I moved to -3, 6. So if we're looking what happened here, first thing that I noticed is my numbers switch places. I went from a 6 to a 3 to a 3 to a 6. So I can say that I'm going to go from xy to at least yx. But notice something else happened here. I went from having a +3 to a -3. So what we can say is I actually took that y and I changed the sign on it. So I went from an xy to a -yx. What that means is I switched the x and the y coordinates, and my y coordinate became negative. Let's see if that happens again. If I do another rotation, let's say with a shape like this triangle here. Again, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and let's show the coordinates here, and let's look at what happens. So our rule that we just came up with is I'm going to take my original coordinates of x, y, and I'm going to flip them so it becomes -yx. That means I'm going to change my y to change the sign, whether it was negative to positive or positive to negative, and then I'm going to leave my x the same. So let's look at point F. Point F is -4, 6, and it changes to -6, -4. And if I look, my motion rule stayed correct because I went from a -4, my x stayed the same, just moved to my back. Here's my -4. And then my +6 became a -6 and moved to the front. So it looks like our motion rule right here works for a 90-degree rotation. And so that's what a rotation is, okay, for 90 degrees.